So, a reminder before the lesson begins, make sure you're taking notes and you're listening and watching for the keyword or phrase.
Let's get to it.
So, today we are going to talk about missing angle measurements. Our aim is how can we solve for missing angle measurements using angle relationships. So, the first thing that we're going to do is a warm up just to kind of get us in the mindset. We're going to solve 8x plus 5 equals 125. So when solving, we want to make sure we're isolating our variable. We're solving for x, so we want to subtract 5 from both sides, get rid of our constants. We're left with 8x equals 120. And remember, the reason why we're doing this is because we have a positive 5 or we're adding 5, so the inverse operation would be to subtract 5. And again, you're going to subtract from both sides of the equal sign to make sure there's a balance. From here, since our variable and our coefficient is being connected by multiplication, we have to use division to separate the two. So in order to isolate, we divide by 8 on both sides again. X is going to equal 15. You can always check by substituting in 15 for x and seeing if it will balance out and add up to 125. Again, making sure your equation will balance out. So we have 8 times 15 is 120 plus 5. Again, to show the check, we want to make sure it's going to equal the right side and the left side are both equal to the same thing. So 120 plus 5 is 125, and that is going to equal 125. So then our 15 would be correct. So the steps to solving a missing angle measurement using the relationship is you want to make sure you're identifying the angle relationship. So you need the angle relationship. So you'll either have something that's maybe, so it equal 90 degrees, something that might equal 180 degrees, and then also something or two angles or more than two angles that basically combine or are equal to each other. They're congruent. So something that's going to, a couple of angles, two more angles that are going to add to 90, two more angles going to add to 180, or angles that are going to be equal to each other are congruent. This way you know how to set up your equation. So again, leading into the steps, knowing your angle relationship, you can set up an equation using the variable in the diagram or the word problem. And even if you have a word problem, I would always draw a picture so you can visually see what you're looking at. And again, you're solving for the variable, which may or may not be your measurement. You're going to see examples that the variable will equal the measurement of the angle, and the variable might just be a part of the angle measurement that you have to find out. So reading the question is super important. For step 2, you want to make sure you're isolating your variable. Just like we did when we were solving equation, isolate your variable by moving variables to one side, constants to the opposite side, and then using your inverse operations, just like we did in our warm-up. For step 3, you want to substitute the variable once you solve for the variable into the angle measurement, and then you want to simplify. Again, this is if your variable is not the actual angle measurement and you have to plug it into or substitute it into an expression. Let's try some guided practice. All right, so the first one, you're going to solve for x. You need to find what are the angle measurements for each, or what are the measurements for each angle. And you have to write the equation. So we have 2x plus x. Knowing that this is a right angle, these two are going to equal 90 degrees because it's a right angle. So I'm identifying my angle relationship, and now I can set it up. So if I have x plus 2x, that's going to equal 90 degrees. I can combine my like terms. 2x and x is going to be 3x equals 90. I'm going to divide both sides by 3. X is going to equal 30. Now for a measure of angle 1, since it's 2x and this is x, what I would do is I would substitute in my value of x into each measurement. So this would be 2 times 30. This would just be 30. So this is 30 degrees, and this would be 60 degrees. And you can always check, knowing that it's going to have to add up to 90. I can say 60 plus my 30. Is that equal to 90? 90 is going to equal to 90. And I know I'm correct. Moving on to number 2. You have to find the measurement of each angle. So we're given 3x and x. I know this angle relationship is forming a straight line. So that means it is equal to 180. They're supplementary angles. So if I do 3x plus x equals 180, I would start to combine my like terms. And if I do that, I get 3x plus x, which is 4x. And then it equals 180. I divide both sides by 4. These cancel out. I am left with x equals 45. And again, in order to find my angle measurements, I'm substituting this in. So if I have 3x as measure of angle 1, it's going to be 3 times 45. And x is just going to be 45. So measure of angle 1 is 135. And you can also, again, like I said, always check. 135 plus 45 should equal 180 degrees. When I balance this out, this is 180 equals 180, and that checks out. For the last question, try this one on your own. You're solving for x. You don't have to find the measurement. You're just solving for x. All right, so you have the value of x now. This is what it would be. So knowing these two angles, these are going to be vertical angles. Vertical angles are congruent to each other. So I would say 4x minus 25 equals 75. If you wrote 75 equals 4x minus 25, you have the same thing. You're going to go through the same process. We are going to isolate our variable. I'm going to add 25 to both sides. I get 4x equals 100. Divide both sides by 4, and I'm left with x equals 25. So that would be my answer for number 3. If I was asked to find the angle measurement, since they're equal, I would just know that automatically it would be 75 degrees because both of them are equal to each other. They're congruent. All right, so make sure you're writing down questions, make sure you have your notes written down, identify your keyword or phrase, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.